See if the U.S. could avenge their loss for the 2022 Winter Olympic Games in a very Irish episode of CSC.
Top of the evening to all of you at home and tonight, and welcome inside the RMU-TV studios for another episode of Colonial Sports Center. I'm Tyler Gallo alongside Colby Sherwin. And Colby, happy St. Patrick's Day to you and everyone out there. And we got a lot for everybody at home tonight, don't we?
That's right. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Let's see if the Colonials were lucky on the field or pitch this week. How do you think they fared this week?
Well, you know, we'll get into that in a little bit. But, you know, while March Madness is going on as we speak right now, and men's basketball and women's basketball did not make it, they're still in the news, as men's basketball did lose 2 transfers over the week. That's right. Those over the past 2 days, Brandon Stone and Cam Ferris both entered the transfer portal. And Colby, I mean, what do these losses mean for the program?
I think with Brandon Stone, it's kind of just you don't really know what to think. Brandon Stone didn't get a lot of playing time at the beginning of the year. He wasn't able to stay consistent as the year got on. We saw some flashy plays, flashy dunks as well. And Cam Ferris, well, he was able to hit a lot of threes. Again, inconsistency really killed him this year, but we'll see as the year goes on.
Yeah, and when he was on, he was one of the best, pure shooters in the country. He could hit with the best of them from outside. It's unfortunate to see them go, but maybe, the writing was on the wall for these, and as they try to move on for greener pastures and bring in some better players. But some teams that were in action, women's basketball also had a transfer as Natalie Villaflor left the program. She's a grad transfer, so it was out of necessity. A player that, just had a career where she only started 1 game during her time at Robert Morris, and this was her, season stats. She did play more than 8 games this season. The stats are incomplete there. But, again, a player that, a bit of a head scratcher, but one that was very talented nonetheless.
Yeah, Nat Villaflor showed a lot of promise as the year went on, but a lot of, again, inconsistency, and not a year really over 10 points a game, over 5 points a game, as you saw there. It's just a lot of inconsistency, and that's why she had to go.
Reliable player off the bench, did have that great performance in the NCAA tournament in 2019 against Louisville, where she dropped 13 points, but that really went to be her best performance of her career.
Now moving on from the UPMC Event Center to Joe Walton Stadium, the women's lacrosse team fell to 0-4 in non-conference play. They were looking for their 3rd win in MAC play against Akron. Let's see how they did in that one. They're able to, as they won 10-6. Alexis Kiefer had 3 goals for the Zips with 5 shots on goal. Natalie Boyd had 2 goals on 7 shots on goal. Jenna Irwin continued her great year with 2 goals and 4 shots on goal. And Jerica Obi had 2 goals and 2 goals in that game as well.
That's right. Now another MAC conference action. The 2 top teams in the MAC conference were in action as they did battle for a midweek clash. Let's see who came out victorious. Let's move things over. It is it's Central Michigan and Robert Morris here. Again, a good matchup. We'll start things off here. Kendall Hoyt fires an absolute laser to get the scoring started at Joe Walton Stadium. 1-0 Central Michigan, and that would not be the last goal. No. Moving in here, Jordan Anderson all the way to the outside, finds the twine, and gets RMU on the board. Now Jenna Irwin making her way all the way into the cage, fires it and scores here. RMU trying to mount that big comeback here. But look at this, knocked off the stick. A weird goal, knocked off the stick of Madison Griffin into the net. That's just an unfortunate play there. Look at this, right out of the air, in there, and credited to Central Michigan for a goal. Moving things on here, here's Colleen Tiff. She finds Lily Haddon in front of the net, who buries it once more. RMU's not done in this game. No, she is not. And we have it, or no, they are not, moving into the second half here. Here's Tiff again. She's going to move inside. She's going to find Jenna Irwin one more time, and it ties the game up. Moving on to the next goal. Here, it's going to be Haley Handrahan with her first collegiate goal. A nice little sneaky shot there, and it's her first collegiate goal, an 8-0 run for Robert Morris. Moving into the later portion of this game, Central Michigan gets on the board as Kendall Hoyt ties it once more, and this game moved on to be a barn burner. Chelsea Coleman weaving, and scoring right there. And that would be the difference as RMU won by a score of 17-16. And let's see what head coach Katrina Silva had to say after this wild affair.
It was really a team effort. Yesterday's practice was really dialed in, really focused. And we're a young team, so some days aren't our best days. And if we keep practicing the way we did and keep playing like this, shore up some things on defense, we're going to be pretty good.
Moving over to the men's lacrosse team, they were looking to end their 3-game losing streak with a combined score of 53-38. Were they able to turn their luck around against Canisius? Let's take a look and see. Moving to the first half here in Joe Walton Stadium, we're going to see a pass from Colton Lindsay to Corson Keeley, and he's going to score for his 13th goal on the year. That made it 2-0 Colonials early in this one. Moving on, John Chasen passes it to Evelyn Heimlich. He'll make it 4-0. That's his first goal of the year, and the Colonials jumped out to an early lead, and they would not look back here. Hunter Parkui passes it to Colin Kelly, and he'll make it to 7-1. The Griffins were looking to fight back, but it was not enough. And you're going to see Ben Stark just going to go and sends a rip into the net. 9-2. Colonials continue to extend the lead. Now watch Corson Keeley go to work. A little spinorama here if you're a hockey fan, and behind the goal, and that's in. 11-2. Colonials begin to pour it on now. And guess who? It's Corson Keeley again. Nice move here. Behind the back, in, and it's in. 17-3. Colonials continue to extend the lead here. Now RMU's going to go up. They're up 19-5. Liam Kane's going to shoot, and he's going to score 20-5. Colonials blowout here in Joe Walton Stadium. And Colin Kelly, he's going to continue to make it 22-6. The Canisius Griffins were not trying to fight back, but Alex Funk will end the scoring at 23-6. RMU with an absolute domination in this one as they win it again, 23-6.
Continuing their slate of games this week, men's lacrosse took on a preseason All-American in Asher Nolting and a team receiving votes in the poll this week in High Point. Let's see how they did at Joe Walton Stadium against the Panthers. First half of action here, and it's all High Point. Jackson Lamb started things off right away with a rifle from nearly the parking lot, buries it right there. 1-0 Panthers as they start things off. They're leading 3-1 here. Moving inside, that's going to be Braden Maia. He's a mid-range weapon, as you see right there, buries it. And then from the outside, fast break for Ben Starkey. He goes in and buries a goal for the Colonials. They're not done. It's a pretty close game, and then they move it into the second half once more time. Now Asher Nolting, a set All-American, gets it right in front and makes no mistake. High Point really running away. Kicking it out. Torin Neal starts to come back with a missile. The Colonials not quite done in this game. 9-5 here as you see. Turning it around side. Hunter Vines with a vine of his own back into the net. And then moving on to the Colonials. Getting in front. A nice little shot there from Will Johansson. And then here's a face-off win. Stolen away. And look at this right away. Tick, tack, toe for Jake Boudreau. Buries it right in there. Colonials just keep on keeping on in this game. Jake Boudreau going to try to do it one more time. Finds the back of the net once again. The Colonials, like I said before, they're not done. 12-10 late in it. And then the dagger of the goal, Jackson Lamb seals the deal in this one. The Panthers win by a score of 13-11. So we are the team that was also in action this week on the road. Their midweek games against Green Bay were canceled here, so they went to Detroit to take on a team who had not been at home in 1,048 days. They took on the Titans, and let's see how they did in their two-game slate today. Doubleheader, and all hitting all the time for the Colonials. 10-2 in the first game, 14-8 in the second game. They start it's their first 2-0 conference start since 2019, and 10 hits in back-to-back games. I mean, what more can you say about this squad, Colby?
Definitely showing a lot of power. The pitching really improved that we saw in the Pacific North, or in the road trip. Just wasn't there. Just definitely an improvement overall than what they've shown last few games.
And you're going to get that, when you face these tough teams on the road, like you said. But it's nice to start off the conference play with some good performances.
Definitely. Now, what else would you like to see improve for this team as they continue to move on throughout the year?
Honestly, I just want to see them keep on doing it, and the pitching maybe needs to shore up a little bit. It was a rough little go of things out west, and then today allowed a lot of runs in that second game. But I really think that this team is really just the best team in the conference right now.
Definitely looks like they got full steam ahead for the softball team. But when we come back, we have a slam dunk for a segment for you as our basketball analyst, Ethan Morrison, joins the show here on Colonial Sports Center. I'm so sorry.
Yo, Scott.
Hey.
I'm heading out, man. You want to ride?
No, I got my car, but I actually really need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, you know what? I was just in there. The line is like 10 people long.
I think I'll just...
Dude, are you okay?
You wouldn't believe what I was just thinking. I am definitely buzzed.
Yeah.
I think I will take this, and I will take that ride home.
Smart man.
Did you see how the dog was looking at me?
And welcome back here to Colonial Sports Center. In the spirit of March Madness, we have our best basketball analyst in here, Ethan Morrison. Ethan, first off, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Gallo. As you can see, I'm in my off-season look. Got a little stubble here, but I'm happy to be here talking some basketball, recapping this season for Robert Morris, and lots of differences here for each team. So let's go through them.
That's right. We'll start things off with the men's basketball team. While it was somewhat of a rough season altogether, there are some positives to take from it. So I want to know what you're taking from this season.
Yeah, there were a lot of bright spots on this team. First off, Khalil Spear had a career year.
Career Spear.
Career Spear. Good one, Tyler. That's a good one. But, 14.7 points per game overall on the season. Had a couple of career highs sprinkled in there. Got a career high 27 against Youngstown State on the road. So really helped propel this team and lead this team into, the playoffs and the postseason. Struggled at the end of the season, but was able to find his footing and help them win a game in the conference tournament. And not a lot of people thought Robert Morris would have a chance of winning a conference tournament. It's almost like stealing someone's food, and you don't expect it. But they did it. They got the win, so that's a big positive to take away from this team this year.
That's right. Another for positive for the season is the emergence of Enoch Cheeks. I know you enjoyed that, watching him really break out towards the end of the year. But I got to know, in a season where you go 8-24, what negatives are there?
I think the one thing that you have to key in here on is the midseason transfers once again hurting Robert Morris. Obviously, A.J. Bromwell last season, but this year it was Rasheem Dunn, Ferran Flavors, and Mattia Acunzo. Three of those guys didn't really find their footing here at Robert Morris, and the team had to move on from them. In some ways, it helped them, but it also made them lose a lot of depth. Obviously, Justin Winston going down with an injury as well later on in the season. That hurt their depth even more. So I think depth was a huge negative for them this year. It's something that they're going to need to work on if they want to be competitive in this conference. Also, the loss to IUPUI, and they also lost 6 of their last 7 games of the regular season heading into postseason play. So just not being able to find that consistency in the Horizon League just yet.
That's right, and the defense also had its fair share of struggles throughout the year. But we have another basketball analyst in the studio tonight, as Michael Deemer's going to take a look at his top 3 players from the men's basketball team this season. Take it away, Michael.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, it definitely was a struggle for RMU over the course of this year. But I'm definitely going to say my top 3 players. It's definitely going to be, I'm going to start off with Michael Green. Michael Green. It was his first year at RMU, but it seemed like he was very in tune with the team, especially Coach Toole trusted him as the point guard. He definitely was a driving force for this team. He definitely was one of the bright spots, like you said earlier. But yeah, it definitely was a struggle for the Colonials, this team. But Michael Green, I think, had a good season in his first year as a Colonial. I'm going to say for number 2, I'm going to say Enoch Cheeks. Enoch Cheeks is definitely, like you said earlier, it was a good season for him. It was his sophomore year. He was really good. He played 16 minutes last year as a freshman. He doubled that this year. He had 32 starts this year, 32 games, and all that. He probably doubled his as we go to number 1, Khalil Spear. Obviously, there's no debate about it to being number 1. Khalil Spear had, you said, career year for him. It definitely was a good year for him. Back to you guys.
Thank you for that one, Michael. And now we're going to kick it over to the women's side. And they had a pretty solid year after a rough year last year in the Horizon League. They made that transition all the more better. Ethan, what do you think stood out for you at this team?
How about Scott Schneider stepping in for Coach Piscaglia, who went out, due to a non-COVID related illness early on in the season, how he was just able to mend the ship, especially with such a young team. I think when you look at all things considered, they were coming in, lost a couple of seniors last year, and then bringing, Simone Morris, obviously Ashaya Klopfenstein, not young per se, but young in experience with this team. I think that was, a crucial year for Robert Morris, especially building up into next year. They finished 8th in the conference, got a home Horizon League playoff game. So, that's just one more positive to go around for this team. Also, Esther Castillo finishes out her 4 years with Robert Morris. Obviously, still don't know. It's up in the air if, she were to come back. But, putting in a career year and career numbers here in her final season, possibly here at Robert Morris, that was just one of the big positives in this one.
That's right. Esther and the freshmen really shone this season for the Colonials. And now, you know, in a season where you go 500, there are going to be some negatives. So what do you think was the most negative thing about the women's basketball team this season?
I think the really only thing to, key in on here is just, the lack of consistency they had at not being able to string together wins. Yes, they finished 500 on the year, and which is great and all, but, you have to be able to find that consistency. And, if they are able to find the consistency as we move on to next year and even the years to come, especially when this younger group starts to mature and grow as a team, I think being able to have the consistency is going to bode well for them in Horizon League competition.
That's right. And, also you got to take a look at, they had just no big scorers this year. Esther was the only one that stood out, Esther Castillo. And, of course, they didn't have that big win like you said. Now Michael Deemer's going to take a look at his top 3 players from the women's basketball team this year.
Yeah, definitely, guys. It definitely was, I guess, a very successful year. They had to host a playoff game this year. They won that one, and they went to the next round. But here's my top 3 players. Number 3 is Sol Castro. People say that she had a disappointing of a year, but people need to pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, she was second in points. She led the team in rebounds. It definitely was maybe not what people had thought, but I would say it was a pretty good year for her. I mean, she did have a lot of good games down the stretch. Struggled a few bit. She had one game that she had 2 and 1 point put together, but it definitely was a struggle for that. But number 2, I'm going to say Ashaya Klopfenstein. Ashaya Klopfenstein certainly had that injury late in the year, did not play in the postseason, but she also had a good year as well. It definitely was a good season for her. And moving on to number 1, I'm gonna definitely say an obvious number 1 in Esther Castillo. Yeah, Esther Castillo definitely, like you guys said, it was a very consistent year for her. It was a very consistent year, probably the most consistent out of everybody here at RMU. But it definitely was a very good year for her. And thank you for having me, guys. Let's toss it over to Colby.
Thank you guys for that in-depth discussion about both the basketball teams. But if you want a more in-depth breakdown of all things Robert Morris sports, make sure to check out Colonial Sports Center. The writers and videographers over there have you covered for everything RMU sports as a track and field team begins their spring season, softball begins the conference play, and so much more. Now we come back. We're going to leave campus a little bit, if you will. We had the track and field team as Kara Goldgram sat down with Hope Beatty to discuss her season, and Nate Brysinger broke down the rivalry rematch between USA and Canada here on Colonial Sports Center.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove.
You told me not to do drugs.
You told me not to drink and drive.
You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You can say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You can ask with an app if it works for you. You can chat with them in VR. It's so good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Whatever gets you talking. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. As I said earlier, Hope Beatty is sitting down with the Goldgram sisters on the local legacy series here on Colonial Sports Center. Hope, let's take it away.
Did you guys have any mentors that you got into track and field, or anyone who's pushed to keep you doing your events in school, outside of school?
I would say there's 3 people in particular. Obviously my mom and my dad as the top 2. They never really expected anything to come of track and field. It was just go have fun, get off of our chest for a second. But now they're some of my biggest supporters. And then definitely the coach I had my senior year, Coach Brunton, he still texts me like once a week asking how I'm doing. He's always checking up on me, making sure that I'm doing my workouts and everything. They definitely just made the experience a lot more enjoyable.
Like she said, our parents, they, like, even if we were having a rough time, they wouldn't let us quit because we know that we would be miserable if we actually quit. And then, like she said, Coach Brunton, and also my throwing coach from high school, Coach Bum, he's probably one of the best coaches I've ever had, and he always knew how to like calm me down when I had a bad throw or I had a bad meet or a bad practice. And probably Tara, honestly, is another one because, you know, you always have to have a competition with somebody, and it just happens to be my sister now.
Looking back at all of your experiences for both of you at RMU, what's been your favorite moment so far?
I would have to say it was when I broke the long jump school record for indoor. It's just the fact that all of my closest friends were on the track team. All of my closest friends and my parents and my sister got to see me do that, and it was just kind of like a heartfelt moment seeing that I've been working for this for so long that I finally like crushed my goal, and now I get to set a fresh pace going into outdoor.
That was probably my favorite moment too. Even though I didn't compete how I wanted to at that meet, we were all just really proud of Tara, and like if somebody had a bad meet, they put that aside and went and congratulated her and was so happy for her. And that's really when like we saw the team come together, like probably the most it has.
Thank you so much to the Golograms and to Hope for having that local legacies go together. And now we have another episode of The Wizard. That's right, Nathan Bryson here put together another great video for us on the rivalry rematch between USA and Canada, two legendary adversaries. Let's take a look at that.
To the top, women's ice hockey teams in the world will take center stage here at PPG Paints Arena for a rivalry rematch, as it is nearing a month since Canada's gold medal victory over the United States in the Beijing Winter Olympics. Not only will the United States look to avenge their loss, but both clubs are aiming to help grow the game of women's hockey in North America.
While the gold medal game in Beijing garnered a large viewership pool in America, the two national teams wanted to showcase their competition back on North American soil in front of their loyal fans. In the span of 2.5 weeks, Pittsburgh prepared for the teams to take center stage at PPG Paints Arena and showcase their product with the help of the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association. Players who participated in the event praised the support from the city of Pittsburgh and the Penguins.
To have the Pittsburgh Penguins pull this off in, 2.5, less than that weeks, and to have the crowd that we had tonight is incredible. We've always had NHL club support, but it obviously is extremely special to have a rivalry rematch, and the fashion and the professionalism in which the Pittsburgh Penguins did it.
In the end, the rivalry rematch was decided by a Marie-Philippe Poulin overtime goal for Canada as they won 4-3. However, it was more than just a game on the ice.
Today was special. It was more than a winner or loser, to be honest. It was about women's hockey, and I think we made a statement again today.
The players hope to also inspire the younger generations on the ice as they were awestruck by the support.
It was awesome. I think that's the first thing we all noticed as soon as we stepped on for warm-up. Even the fans were starting to fill the seats, and there were tons of kids on the glass with signs asking for sticks and pucks, and it felt like we were part of the NHL.
Across North America, women's hockey has grown in the past decade, including in Pittsburgh. Locally, female hockey players have a high-level program here in the Pittsburgh area and the Robert Morris women's hockey team. Although they are on pause until the 2023-24 season, the team has provided women's players with the opportunities to play in the Premier Hockey Federation and the Olympics. Former RMU women's hockey goaltender and two-time United States Olympian Brianne McLaughlin saw the rivalry rematch as a great opportunity for the youth in Pittsburgh. On top of that, McLaughlin had the opportunity to provide her insight and expertise on the rivalry game during the intermission reports on the AT&T Sportsnet broadcast.
It was different. I've never done that before, so it was a learning experience, but Robbie and Colby make it so fun. They're so funny and they make you feel comfortable, so hopefully I didn't look too out of my element there.
Ultimately, the matchup provided players with hope and a glimpse into the future of the potential of women's hockey.
I hope this continues as its own asset, moving forward. I think it would be a wonderful opportunity to cater to the national women's hockey fans, and then also build on all the momentum that we see once every 4 years and do it night in and night out.
In the end, it was a thrilling matchup on the ice between two historic rivals in Team USA and Team Canada. But ultimately, in this rivalry rematch, it was all about the growth of women's hockey. For Colonial Sports Center, I'm Nathan Breisinger.
Thank you so much again for that, Nate. And when we come back, it's the top part of the show, so stay tuned.
Bring it. Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home. Okay. Bye, guys.
You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one? I gotta go eat, man. Sorry, I'll see you later.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center, and you're in luck as it's time for the top 5 plays of the week. You ready, Tyler?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Time for the top 5 plays. Here we go. Number 5 here, and of course, we're going to start out with Lacrosse here. Watch this. Just goes all the way around the field and just sends an absolute spin and then sends a rocket into the net. What a goal there.
Yeah, very nice move from Will Johansson there, but another men's lacrosse one here for number 4. Steven Delmonica wins the faceoff, and he has got clear land ahead. He goes right in and buries it right there. What a shot from Delmonica. He weaves around a couple defenders. Canisius had really no chance in this game, and this really added some insult to injury.
He really looked like Elijah Jackson on the field right there. Absolute tanked out.
I don't know about that this season, Cole.
All right, let's move on to number 3 now. And over to the women's lacrosse. Jenna Irwin going to spin around the defenders, sends it over the net and in. Gets the Colonials back in the matchup. Here's another one there and right over the goalie stick.
One of her 18 goals as a freshman, like you were about to say, but number 2 now, it's going to be a face-off win here. It's going to be a nice little one here. Kick forward for men's lacrosse. They get it in. It's dug out of the corner. Tick, tack. So, one more time, Jake Boudreau does it again. He's on pace for 37 points. It will be a career high this year, and this goal shows just why. What a shot that was.
It was a beautiful shot, and as you were saying, that shows why. But now, the top play of the week, and of course, it has to be Corson Keeley behind the net here. He's going to go around, little spinner arm as I said it over, and sends it behind for the goal. 11-2 now.
Just a beautiful goal, and you know, all lacrosse in the top 5 plays this week. That's all we really had to show you this week. But it was another good episode of Top Plays. Now, Colby, what game are you watching this weekend?
Of course, it's the softball team back in action against Detroit Mercy. Here it is again. Elena Kutsajani has been huge for the team, and McKenna Tangi has been great for the Titans. What about you, Tyler?
Well, you know, I'm going to go with men's lacrosse. We just showed them quite a bit in top 5 plays. They're taking on Marquette, and the last time they played them, they beat them. So why not do it one more time? I'm looking at Jake Butcher. Look at Bobby O'Grady's stats for Marquette. Is that 17 goals and 1 assist? Pass the ball, Bobby. Come on.
Really selfish player.
Definitely a good game to look forward to as we get into the slate this weekend. And again, another full slate of games as we head into another week of RMU Sports. Once again, we want to thank you for tuning in here for Colonial Sports Center. For everyone down in the studio, for Colby Sherwin, I've been Tyler Gallo, and we will see you next Thursday.